This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio, episode number 98. Today is Saturday, February the 1st, 2020, and we are broadcasting live from our favorite place on earth, Peach Time Out here in the heart of Times Square, where we've got a big, gigantic crowd inside. It's still not raining outside, even though the forecast was for rain.
No, but I hear it's coming.
It's a lovely day. It's a great running day.
Somebody said to watch for water spouts out there.
Water spouts?
Yeah, I've never seen one of those.
And, of course, let me finish the intro.
Okay.
We'd love to hear where you're watching from, being that we're broadcasting live on the Facebook. So if you want to chat, you can write in on the chat box on the Facebook. And real quick, how you can listen and how you can watch us. All of our shows are archived at audio at our website, beachtalkradio.com. We also have a free app that you can download for your iPhone, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. All the audio goes up on Sunday. On the video side, all of our videos are archived on Facebook. Did I say that already? Including last night's interview with Eddie Rude about the dune walkover, which has become a major, major issue here on the beach. So if you have a chance to check that out, that was about 45 minutes last night on the Facebook. So we have that video up there too. We also would like to thank all of our great sponsors, Peach Time Out, FMB Designs and Remodeling, Shuckers at the Gulf Shore and the Cottage Bar, and Fort Myers Tiki Tours. I got a really cool text from somebody that went out on one of the Tiki Tour boats.
Yeah.
He's a listener. He's back in Illinois, and I'll read the text on the air on the big show later on. And also, today is such an exciting show because we have giveaways today. We have giveaways to Kylie and Jay's show at Shuckers coming up. So you're going to want to listen to the whole show. And we also have another Valentine's Day giveaway for the Tiki Tours. So
nice.
If you call, even if you don't win the Tiki Tour, we're going to give away 2 passes. Even if you don't win that, if you call before Valentine's Day and mention Beach Talk Radio, you get 10% off. So if you're thinking about going out there, you want to let them know that you listen to the show, or just pretend like you listen to the show or watch the show, and you can still say what's the name of the show? Beach Talk Radio, and you'll get 10% off.
And I will say that the fire chief is down here. He's coming on in a minute, and he is passing out some serious swag.
Is he running for office? He's like, is he handing out buttons, vote for chief?
No, he's handing out chief buttons for the kids. He's handing out pens, pencils, grippers, koozie holders, all sorts of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, he's really got the
Chief.
swag rolling.
There he is. He's one of our favorite guests. I think this is his now 3rd appearance on the show. And Fire Chief Matt Love.
Oh, look at all the little emojis going up for you.
Oh, everybody loves you. Look at that. All right.
You missed them. They went quick.
So, for those that don't know, back in January, the Fort Myers Beach Fire Board voted to purchase the property that the old Top Supermarket used to occupy, and that means Fire Station, I guess, 31 and 32 will kind of be, 31 will be, I'm not taking all your questions. Don't worry about it. I'm just setting the stage for you. I'm not ruining it. And so it's going to be modernized, and everything's going to be upgraded. It's a great location, a lot closer, kind of in the middle. So let's turn it over to the lovely wife. She's been my bride for 30 or 40 years. Kim Ryan, take it from here.
Okay. Well, if you had read what I sent you and subsequently sent him, what we're going to do is talk a little bit first before we get into that, to just give everybody an overview of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Department. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're back on track now. So, go ahead and give us a little bit of an overview about how many stations and all of that stuff, so people know.
Thank you for having me again. Appreciate it. Thank you. Our fire department, well, I could talk for quite a bit about our fire department, so I'll keep it a little bit brief. But the Fort Myers Beach Fire Department, which is actually the fire control district, so we're an independent government entity. You hear the word fire department, sometimes that's a subset of a city. We're actually a separate control district, so we cover both Estero Island as well as San Carlos Island and a little bit of the mainland. So not just the town itself. It's actually, the organization's been here quite a bit longer than the town, a kind of a longer standing government entity. We have 4 facilities, 3 fire stations. The first one is on the mainland, Station 32, as you see when you're coming in, and that. And then as you come on the island, you get about mid-island of Station 31. The one we'll be talking about a little bit is right there at Denora and Estero. Just around the corner and down the block on Voorhees is our headquarters administrative facilities. And then way down at the other end on Linnell is Fire Station 33, covering the south end of the island. So 3 stations and 1 headquarters facility is what we respond out of.
Well, yes. And so the area, I think it's important for people to know that it's not just Estero Island, as you mentioned, that gets serviced. There's stuff on the mainland and then San Carlos Island, right?
Correct,
All
right.
right.
Yeah.
So now tell us a little bit about the breakdown in personnel, because there's firefighters and then there's EMS. Is that correct? And some are cross-trained or?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So Lee County, there's only 2 fire departments that also run their own ambulance system, and that's us and Lehigh Acres. And years ago, that was a decision made to give our community a quicker response to ambulances, whether it be our remoteness, because we're an island, or the traffic and all the issues we see. We want to get the ambulances there quicker. So because of that, we run a little more robust system so our folks get ambulances as well as fire trucks. And so our ambulances have 2 fire paramedics on them, and our fire trucks also have fire paramedics. So they're not single source, if you will. They don't just do EMS. They're firefighters and paramedics, so we can use them for firefighting as well as for medical services. So we have a total of 64 personnel within the fire department. 49 of them are firefighters and paramedics out in the street, and then the rest are administrative folks as well as our inspectors, fire prevention, code enforcement, fire marshals, things like that. And some of that is structured around, as I discussed, there's a difference between a fire department and a district. A district is completely independent, which means we have to run our own fleet services, our own human resources, our own finance department. So you have a separate kind of administrative structure, where a city, they work with the city's structure. So that's kind of how we're made up.
And I know you and I were talking about a little bit before the show about the size of the department, because when you look at, the residents, when you look at the area, the resident population is pretty low when you consider 64 people, but you have to account for the flux. How does that change? How is that different from a city?
I kind of joke and call it the tale of 3 cities.
Okay.
There's the summer when it's a little quieter and we have our permanent residents, and then there's when season comes and we have the influx, and our folks are running constantly. Our ambulances are just making trips back and forth from the hospital, and then there's spring break.
Right.
And so, and that's just an explosion of call volume, especially in closer to the Times Square area. And so you're right. The fire department is built to provide consistent services 24/7, despite population growth, influx, and so forth, which is different than you might see in private industry. Private industry, we may expand and contract services based on that load. The fire department doesn't operate that way, because you need the same resources, whether there's 100 calls a year or 1 call a year. And so because of that, and being funded the way we are, it's a tax-funded entity, it's not a private-funded entity, we maintain a real consistent set of resources. So we always have at least 14 firefighters on duty on the island, because we need to get a certain group of resources to every incident. Believe it or not, if you have a fire in our district, you get 4 engines, 2 ladder trucks, 2 ambulances, and a battalion chief. Well, that's a lot of resources. That's even more than just our department brings alone. We have agreements with outside agencies to bring you those resources. Now, whether there's 70,000 people or 7,000 people on the island, you still need that group of resources. And so we maintain a real consistent staffing model throughout the year. The difference in our influx of seasonal population is those resources are less and less available because they're running so many calls. Those ambulances are out at the hospital, and so we bring in like a Lee County ambulance to help cover the area, but we lose some of those resources because they can't go to a fire when they're transporting a patient. One more quick comment on that is Lee County runs a very progressive closest unit dispatch system. So it means it doesn't matter what patch we're wearing. If a different fire truck is closer, that fire truck will go to the call. Okay. It's a fantastic system because the community doesn't really care what's on the door of that fire truck when it shows up. And so if an Iona McGregor Bonita Springs fire truck is closer, they're on the ticket for that call, and it gets the community the quickest response possible. So it's not like that everywhere in the country. So it's a pretty positive system we have here to get the resources.
And you were talking about, the funding, that it's funded mostly by tax dollars. What other revenues come into the department?
Definitely the primary and most robust is tax dollars, no question about it. We have a set tax levy just like you have for other districts. The only other revenue sources we have are a little bit of ambulance revenue coming in because there's still an ambulance insurance fee,
Right.
when you're transported, though that doesn't by any means cover the full cost of the ambulance system. And then there's the prevention side. So we do our own in-house fire plans examination, permitting, inspection, and that has a fee schedule that is built. That fee schedule roughly is built on a 30-70 model, meaning 30% to run our life safety division, our inspectors, is covered by fees, and 70% is still subsidized by taxes. So it's more of a tax-funded entity, but you do have some of those fees coming in.
One of our viewers wants to ask the question, explain why the increase in fire district taxes, why it was so much. I don't know that it was.
It's
I
a
hadn't
great
paid
question.
attention,
Yeah,
but
we went from about a 2.6 to a 2.9-ish and some change, tax levy change. That was a little over a year in the making. And so those that do attend our board meetings regularly kind of saw that coming. It's part of a strategic plan to fund this facility project. And so there was two things being captured there. One was to properly reset our capital building program so we're properly contributing and withdrawing, and then two was to fund this large project because it required a land procurement. All of our existing capital projects had facility replacements built in, but not land procurement. And when you have to move a location, that changes the whole model quite a bit. So our Board of Fire Commissioners chose to put that tax levy where it's at right now to jumpstart that program and fund this project. And then in the future, they can reassess and decide if it needs to stay there or if it can teeter back down.
just one more question on that. Do you have the capability to sell part of that property if you don't use it all, or could you rent it out and get some income from it, or
Yeah.
what's the plan there?
Great question. So for us, the Tops property was about as good as it can get. And the size, the location, gave kind of the community and the district everything it needed all in one. And so that lot size is about 2.15 acres. What it allows us to do is design and site plan the building that will likely be on the back half of that property. And then after that's done, we may build it first, but after the design is done, we can decide how much will be left on the front. The Estero frontage is probably much more lucrative for another type of business or something like that. And so we'd really like to see another valuable community asset go in if there's some property left on the front, whether it be the grocery store, the pharmacy, something that helps the community. We're hoping that there is some property left on the front to do that on the Estero frontage portion.
So now the station that's going to be going there, Station 31.
Right.
And so that needed to be replaced or redone because...
So I'll give you a little history. That station was built, I think, in 1949.
Whoa.
In 2000,
There you go.
There you go, right? That doesn't mean it's obsolete, but it's been through a lot. In 2002, you can kind of see when building maintenance costs start shooting through the roof and things like that, a building is getting near end of life. In 2002, the district did a study, brought in a group to say, what does the lifespan look like on this building? And they said, you got two choices. You can tear it down, rebuild, or you can do a very substantial renovation and relocate administrative offices off-site like we did in a new facility. The district chose to do that, and we were told that would buy us about 10 to 15 years, which would have taken us to about 2012 to 2017, and it did. So
Right.
It bought us more than 15. So in the end of 2017, we brought in a group of engineers to do a systems analysis, structural analysis. Their feedback was it is definitely at end of life, and any renovation to bring it up to code and standards and compliance would be well over the FEMA 50% rule. It would equate to a tear down and rebuild. That opened up the door to, okay, what can you rebuild on the same site? And because it'd be a new facility, new setback requirements would fall into place. That building sits on 0.15 acres.
Wow.
So we probably could not even achieve the compliance in parking, much less the building design on that same lot. And though that's unfortunate, it kind of forced us to start looking around to say, okay, I can't build anything there on the same lot because we lost setback. Where is the right direction to go?
Chief, are you thinking that is like the perfect spot? I mean, it just seems
that's
like
what
it's
was one of my questions.
Can I ask one question?
Were any
I-
other
I'm
sites
trying to
considered?
defer to you for most of the questions, but
I thought you were
sometimes
gonna
I like
lead.
to wing it. I don't need paperwork to ask all
Well,
the
I
questions.
don't either, but
Okay,
I'd
so
like to be organized.
sorry, Chief. She gets like this all the time, even at home. But so it just seems like you have more room to move. You have more, more. You don't have to. that area where you are now, it just seems like you have to do 6-point turns to get out of there with the engines. It just seems like it's in the perfect spot also to get this way and to get the other way. Is it?
You hit the nail on the head. Is we're actually building fire engines to fit in that station rather than necessarily the way they could be. And so, that's another red flag, right? But back in early 2018, we did a response modeling study, and we worked with Lee County's dispatch center as well as a GIS division to do that. And I don't want to get too technical because it's a little over my head, but the concept is they went back several years and they mapped every response we had gone to as a department. They were able to determine when can the fire truck go at posted speed limits, when can it go over, and when does it have to go under. And that's kind of a lead into the traffic issue, because just because road miles is this direction, really getting there is very different, especially when you have one main thoroughfare and canals. So that data spit out a bunch of numbers and said, okay, if you were to relocate a station, where should it go? And it actually said optimum would be to relocate Station 31 0.7 miles towards Times Square because of not just call modeling, but population density trends and things like that. So kind of being proactive, saying where is the call load picking up? It's picking up towards Times Square even before some of the development opportunities we have. So that moved it almost to about Del Mar and Estero, I think, was the optimum location. Well, then Tops comes along exactly where it's at. And I think, again, you said it. You couldn't pick a better location. And it not just because of the size and being right across the street from Town Hall was incredibly beneficial as well, but the response modeling said that's going to get better response times to the community to move at that 0.7 miles. So
And I will say, I looked at, I was telling you, I looked on the website and there's a lot of information in the strategic plan and statistics in there. And it talks of, there is a graph about the response time, which is really good, but it's always something that you're looking in an emergency. That's the number one thing, like how to get that as quick as possible. So this new station will help to improve the response time just from a logistics standpoint.
It'll actually, it'll proactively relocate those resources, again, 0.7 miles down the road, but with our dynamic and traffic, 0.7 miles makes a pretty big difference. Our goal is that the first fire truck gets to any emergency in 4 minutes or less, and all the fire trucks get there within 12 minutes or less. And you don't always have the opportunity to relocate or pick up a fire station and move it, but when you do, we really want to look at the data to make sure it's going in the right place for future growth.
Now, out of the money that was spent for this, will that also include any equipment or upgrades to the IT stuff? What?
Good question. The larger scale component is we actually hope to delete a facility out of this.
Okay.
We hope to combine this. We've well outgrown our admin facility, and so we have admin actually in 2 different places. We hope to build a facility that houses both Fire Station 31 as well as all the administrative, IT, all those folks. That'll in the long run allow us actually to delete one of our facilities and save on maintaining a 4th facility. So the long run, that should help quite a bit. As far as equipment goes, since it's a station relocation, it doesn't need new equipment per se, but it will allow us to relook at where equipment's located. So right now we have a ladder truck way down at the south end of the island. We like the idea of considering maybe getting that a little more centrally located, but as Ed said, that station cannot house a ladder truck right now, even with the grade pulling in. So we may be able to more strategically place our resources because of the station.
Any plans to get a fire boat?
Well, I knew that question would come up, and that property being on the back and having potential canal access gives us that option. Right now, that option really doesn't exist. We don't have any facilities on water, and so I think for the long run, this sets us up. So if the department does want to go that route and go into a marine resource, we actually have the ability to do it. Right out our back
What do
door.
fire boats cost? You have any idea?
I am by far not an expert on fire boats. I think they're less than a fire engine, so that's good.
Okay. What does a fire engine cost?
An average fire engine costs about $600,000, and a fire truck costs $1.2 million.
Wow.
That blows your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Sure, it's worth every penny.
Well, it is, and there's no way around it. I mean, increasing safety standards and what's required for those apparatus, you're right, there's no way around it. Luckily, we've built our capital plans to replace those trucks properly. It gets even more complex when you talk about value of that truck for resale, when the maintenance costs start going up. So we try and offload those after between 10 and 12 years because we can actually get some money back for them and recycle that to another agency. So it's all part of that capital plan. Right now,
where are the most calls that you have to respond to?
Surprisingly, when we did that modeling, our stations are pretty well distributed across this service area. And so there are some stations that are a little busier than others, but those 3 stations are pretty well divided up to handle the call load. We do see more in the Times Square area, and we project more in the Times Square area. So this will continue to be the highest call density area. But again, right now, not too different between the different stations. Station 32, the one on the mainland over there, probably sees the majority of call load because they're going a couple different directions, while when you're on the island, you're just servicing the island. But that's pretty dynamic and changes over the year.
Okay. How do you guys get around the traffic issue when it's season and you hear the fire engines? You're sitting here. I'm having water. She's probably drinking beer, and you hear the fire engines, and you're thinking, how the heck are they getting around? I mean, it's a little better now, but
it's a good question. One main thoroughfare, lots of canals. There's only so much you can do. So first step is the organization doing the construction project has been incredibly communicative with us. They talk with our public information officer constantly to let us know ahead of time what they're looking at, how will it affect our emergency response pattern. They had folks out there on golf carts, or you saw they had little radios. They could even talk to the fire trucks, and the fire truck would say, "We're coming this route. Close this lane down so we can get through." So
nice.
They've been great to work with, but there are still times when that traffic stops right up. We employed right at the beginning of the construction, it looks like our big ambulances, but it's a little tinier. It's got a beach. We call it a beach ambulance, and it's narrower. It can go on the beach as well as it can go. If a car can't get completely off the road for a big truck, but it can enough to get that little beach ambulance through, it can get places fairly fast, even if traffic's a problem. And then our final resources, we do have an air ambulance. We have a helicopter ambulance opportunity, and we'll use that sometimes, especially like a remote call down in Lover's Key. But if it's a problem and a response time issue, we can use that air resource.
Where's the beach helicopter?
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's not just ours.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a Lee County asset. Yeah, and it's run by Lee County EMS.
And I'm sure the people in the traffic are like, oh my God, how do I get out of the way? There's nowhere to go.
And what can people do? They can't really, if there's people on the sidewalk, you can't,
There's only so many places you can go, and hopefully education with folks of, pulling to the right, not stopping in the middle of the road and things like that to free that center lane up will help.
Now, what other services, obviously the majority of what you guys do is provide emergency services, but what non-emergency services does the fire department provide?
So outside your day-to-day running fire and emergency medical calls and so forth, we call it our life safety division, and they run all of the other non-emergent services. So that's everything from building plans review and inspections and code enforcement to fall prevention programs, CPR and AD programs. Okay. We actually send our inspectors to a 40-hour class on how to install car seats the right way, so we can install car seats, helmet fittings. I could go on and on and on, but there's a really good link on our website to this robust list of services you wouldn't think a fire department necessarily provides, but a lot of other resources like that of preventing things in the community.
So you do you offer courses for the community to come in and learn how to do CPR and how to operate the AEDs?
Correct. Yeah, we do. And a lot of times we'll actually go to your business or your condo complex, with resource availability, we'll come to you and hold classes.
Do you know, not individually, but is the island set up with a lot of businesses that have AEDs or?
Good question. And I don't know from a business standpoint.
Every time one of us say good question. Yeah, no, say all my questions are good.
Right now, I couldn't tell you from a business standpoint.
Right.
We do see an increase of AEDs going in public facilities. I know we had some good communication at the end of last year with the library of getting multiple AEDs in the library, and we wanted to support that program with both AEDs as well as what we call a Stop the Bleed kit. So if somebody has a bleeding emergency and some things like that. So I think it's becoming more and more prevalent, but I think government facilities can certainly lead the way in that. So at least people know if I get to a government facility, I can get an AED. And,
in terms of, the time that it takes you guys to get down here, shut up. It's important for people to be certified and provide, because that's the first line of defense when somebody goes down in a medical emergency is who's around before you guys can get there.
Rapid CPR, rapid AED use is absolutely a lifesaver. And you probably saw on our website, we had some stuff last year. We won 2 years in a row this thing called a Mission Lifeline Award, and it's about some of those cardiac saves. And don't take this wrong, but if you're going to have a cardiac event, have it on Fort Myers Beach because we have one of the best rates in the nation of taking care of people with cardiac events. But so it's not a bad place to have that type of emergency.
Which
quite
by
honestly.
no means mean if you're at home and you start having chest pain, should you get in the car and drive to the beach? No, just call 911.
Give us a call. Yeah.
By the way, big numbers for you today. A lot better than Ray Murphy or or people like that. So good job today. Everybody's very interested in the fire department and all the services. So thank you for that.
I thought you were making me wrap it up.
No. I just want to make sure he knows he's big ratings bonanza. That's all.
I was looking at, and this may be in the past, but the Slumber Safe, or what is that about?
So the Slumber Safe program was designed to give an economic or business incentive for properties that receive their ordinance inspection. And so the concept would be, if you come from, let's say, another company and you want to, another country, and you want to stay on Fort Myers Beach and you stay in a hotel, you assume it is fire safe to stay in. But if you have a short-term rental, is it? And we feel like people from outside should have the same safety measures, so forth. So we have this ordinance in effect. We do inspections to make sure those short-term rentals are just as safe as, say, a hotel room. To incentivize that, the Slumber Safe program gives the business a website icon as well as a sticker to put on the window of the actual occupancy that says they're certified by the fire department Slumber Safe program. We wanted to give them kind of that incentive. So if you're shopping for a place to stay, maybe you can clout that a little bit on your website to say we're approved and we're safe and let people know that it's been inspected.
Do you think that we should all be wearing masks because of this virus in China?
I think we're okay so far, but
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Who are you going to vote for in the election? I know you weren't going to answer that.
No. And I said, I won't ask it.
Well, you
But
have to
I know
ask it.
he'll
You never
ask.
know. Sometimes I know the chief is neutral. You have to be neutral, right? Is that? But you will go and vote, right? It's important to vote, right, chief?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Our local government is the only government, as we say.
Right.
Supporting your local government, getting out and vote for our fire commissioner, our city council members is how we control how our island progresses.
And please stop by the department and get your sticker.
Yeah. What were you giving out? You're giving out
I
kinds
brought
of
all
goodies
kinds of
out.
cool
What are you
stuff.
giving?
We got
What are you
fire
giving away
department
here?
Koozies
Well,
with
he's-
safety tips on them. And
Wait,
first
fire
aid
department
kits and-
koozies.
And
Interesting.
the tot stickers.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
tot stickers.
What's a tot sticker?
A tot sticker long time ago was designed to put in the window of your house, your kid's window.
Oh, yeah,
So the
yeah.
fire department knew. Now there was some controversy over labeling that from the exterior. So now we put it on the inside door, very low. So if firefighters are coming in your house, crawling around, they know which bedrooms have kiddos in them.
And pet stickers.
We have the same thing for your pet. On your window, you can put a pet sticker so we know to go look for your little guy if he's a pet, even
Isn't that nice?
after you've gotten out.
What is the most interesting call in your entire career that you've ever gone on?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I'll tell you what, you would expect it to be something probably gross and gruesome and scary. And I've had some pretty terrible fires in my career as well. But
Really?
I would say the most impactful call was we responded to a gentleman that had simply fallen out of bed in the middle of the night. And we went to the door, and his wife answered the door, and she said, come on down here, come on down here. And you're groggy, and it's the middle of the morning, and you pick this little old guy off his floor and put him back in bed, and he says thank you. And as we're walking back out, she takes us down the hallway, and she stops at every picture on that hallway, and they're pictures of his military service. And she talks about all the things he had done in his career for our nation. And I
Wow.
think we just felt so humbled and thought, what a job. I get to come out in the middle of the night, forget that I get to take care of this guy that dedicated his life to our nation. And it was a humbling, that's why we're in this business type of feel.
Awesome. That's a great
That
story.
is a great story.
Anything else you want to tell the people? We really only have 9 people that pay attention to us over the time.
Let me give you a couple things. One,
Okay.
we have an open house next weekend.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's down at Fire Station 33 on Linnell. That is 10 to noon, so we invite you to come down here. We're going to have the fire department's new ladder truck on display down there.
Cool.
It's not even in service yet, so that's kind of fun. March 25th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall will be our March Commissioner meeting, but we're going to be doing a life safety presentation before that. And it's kind of a historical review of United States fatal fires, why they occurred, and what we implemented in code to prevent them from ever happening again. So that's going to be a good presentation. And then one of the other things I wanted to add and wanted to share with you, this is probably the first time we've shared this publicly, so it's an exciting thing to share, but
Listen up.
as we build this new facility on that lot, the goal of our commissioners has been long-term. What is a long-term plan to take care of this community, and how can we get the most out of this facility for our community? And so I have met a couple different times with Sheriff Marcino, and we have been into talks about how do we also put some space in this facility for our sheriff's office deputies on the island. And so I think that's going to be a fantastic way to get even more value out of this facility. So we'll continue to talk about what that space looks like, but that partnership could just make this even more valuable.
Great. And do we have any idea when the shovels will hit the ground?
Not yet.
Okay.
The site planning and the spatial analysis will take quite a bit of time. From the day we entered a contract, we have about 180 days of due diligence, a lot of site planning, environmental studies, all that sort of stuff to make sure it's good to go. So it'll take a little time. We don't want to be in a hurry by any means, but we do have a link on our website under the About Us tab. It's called the Fire Station 31 Project, and we will keep updates on that. So if the community is curious, what's going on, what phase are you in, we'll try and keep that up to date so folks know.
What's a rough guess, and we won't hold you to this, about when you think it would be open? How long will it take from start to finish?
I think you could say conservatively it will take a year to build the facility
Right.
once you put a shovel in the ground. Now, I do not have a great deal of construction expertise. However, our Executive Assistant Fire Chief of Operations, Scott Worth, actually is also a general contractor and has built fire stations in the city of Fort Myers.
And he says?
He's ours. And so he will oversee this project to make sure it's done incredibly well. So
nice.
I would expect a couple years because we've got to do the designing, we've got to do the spatial analysis, but it's a couple-year project. Yeah.
Great. And, I've lost my train of thought there. Oh, Angie. Angie is super. I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. She helped set up the interview, and if she's listeing, thank you so much, Angie. She's awesome. She's got access to your email, too, I noticed. So. Well, thanks so much, Chief. Dear, anything else?
Much. No, I think we're good.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate
Matt
it.
Love, everybody. His third appearance, and we always appreciate the Chief coming on with some great information, and we'll make sure we share all of that with you over the next few days. Right now, before we get to our next guest, I want to give something away. We're going to do it a little – go ahead, dear. We're going to do it. I can take care of this. I've done this before. We're going to make sure that if you've won a prize from us in the last 30 days, you can't win a prize for 30 days, just like they used to say on the radio. So the number to call is 239-247-3833. That's 247-3833. And we're going to give away 2 passes to the Fort Myers Tiki Tours, which is down here on the beach. But the question is, you need to tell us from where the boats leave. If you know from where the boats leave, you call 247-3833, and you're going to win a Valentine's Day cruise from the Fort Myers Tiki Tours, which is one of our sponsors. So somebody please call 247-3833 if you want to win the you might have to look that up, I guess, if you want to win 2 tickets to the Fort Myers Tiki Tours. And let me tell you a little bit more about those guys. They have been down here now for several months. 239-887 0042 is their phone number. And, we have a caller. Let's see if we can make this work. Good morning. Let's see. Let's see. You there? Hello, caller? Are you on there? Let's see. I blew it again. What? I'm trying to get a caller. Hello, caller?
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Who's this?
No problem. This is Jim Hockett.
Jim, where are you calling from?
Yeah. I'm calling from Fort Myers. We're looking for a place on Fort Myers Beach. Yep.
Nice. Why are you watching?
Yeah.
Why are you wasting your time watching this show? Please explain.
Because, man, you are funny. I love this show. This show is so great. Love it.
Please don't encourage him, Jim.
All right, Jim. Did I get it right? Is it Jim?
You got it.
All right, Jim. I asked the question, dear.
Okay.
Where does the Fort Myers Tiki Tours take off from down here at Fort Myers Beach? And, Jim, the answer is?
The answer is, the answer is
come on, Jim. Jim, you're ruining the show. Oh, Jim, I'm so sorry. You didn't get that right, but thanks for trying. Wait 30 days before you try again.
Are you serious?
Well, he got it wrong, dear. You can't give the prize away to somebody who got it wrong. Let's see. Okay, the next caller. We're going to give it one more shot. Well, that was fun. I got it to work anyway. 247-3833 is the number to call. Fort Myers Tiki Tours. They supply Coast Guard certified captain, all the required safety gear, a cooler with ice, the Bluetooth stereo system, and, of course, the ambiance of the beach. And the question is, my watch is ringing. The phone is ringing. All right. Hello, caller. You're on the air. It's like such an old-fashioned radio guy, don't I? Let's see if we can get that. Hello, sir. Are you there? I'm pressing all kinds of buttons.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, who's this?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Where are you calling from?
Say that the Tiki Tour. Oh, right down here on the Bay North Drive.
All righty.
And what's your name?
My name's Lavinia.
Hello. How are
That's
you?
a lovely name. All right. Are you
I'm doing
ready?
great.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What year was Albert Einstein born? No, I'm just kidding. Where did the Fort Myers Tiki Tours boats take off from?
St. John's Pass.
No, it's not St. John's Pass. In the age,
St. John's Pass down there.
in the age of Google, you think somebody would have Googled
I
it,
didn't
and
see it on your sheet.
it's right there. It's right here on the. It's right here on the stick. Well, thanks for calling, and you have a great weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's on the. All you need to do is get on your computer. Most people are on their computers. I can't believe people are still paying attention. This is the last time that we're going to ask. Oh, I wanted to read the text from somebody, but I'll read it later on. This is it. Your last chance. Where?
Christy Hennessy.
Oh, look who's calling.
Uh,
Let's see if I can get this right. Christy, are you there? Let's see. I can't. We have to have her on. All right. Let's see if I got it right. Christy, are you there?
Hey,
Hey, Christy, how are you?
I'm good.
Where are you?
Called right.
I know.
right away.
I know, but the first caller I always hang up on because I don't know what I'm doing with the technology here, but I'm glad you got through. Where are you calling from? What part of the country are you in, Christy Hennessy?
My chair is Fort Myers Beach.
nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Are you ready to win these 2 tickets to the Fort? This contest has gone on way longer than I
Okay.
expected it to.
Well-
Where does the boat take off from?
Salty Sam.
Thank you.
Yay.
Salty Sam's. Let's see if I get the applause.
Yay!
Very nice, Christy. Okay, you win the tickets. We know how to reach you. Thank you for listening to the show, and have a great weekend. Who's going to win the Super Bowl, Christy?
I don't know. It's a good time for me to go shopping because there won't be anybody at the mall.
Smart woman.
All right, Christy, thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you after the show so you can get your tickets. Salty Sam's.
Salty Sam.
All right, everybody. Right now, it's time for our Actually,
Right.
do you want me to start
Start what?
the interview with Dan Allers?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Dan Allers, come on down. You are the next contestant on Beach Talk Radio. Dan Allers. Dan, do you know where the Tiki Tours boats take off from?
Salty Sam's, I believe.
Very nice. See, Dan would have won the prize there. So Dan's
Wait,
down
am I
here.
winning?
Well, you would have won a Valentine's Day cruise, which is what we gave away. But we already have a winner, Dan, so you're
All right.
you're not
All right.
eligible
All right.
anymore. Dan, you're down here with your lovely wife, recently married, right? Now, is it a
June.
year yet? Oh,
June.
coming up on a year, and you're two. Did you bring both labs or just one?
Both. My my number 1 and number 2 supporters, because I could feed them every day.
Gotcha. So, how is the campaign going?
Good. It's much smoother this year than it was last year. I mean, I have a little better understanding of what I'm doing and how I should go about things, and it's been really great. I've had people actually reach out to me this year, as opposed to me having to go find people to talk to all the time. So a lot of people have reached out to me, which is great, sharing their thoughts and their ideas.
Now, you're following the fire chief. That's like following Seinfeld. So you got a big audience, big lead in. The fire chief was excellent, and I'm sure you're going to be excellent, but there's a big audience out there. Tell our audience who Dan Allers is.
Well, I'm originally from Minnesota. I grew up one of 6 brothers. So we learned very, very early on that you really had to work for anything if you wanted, including the pancakes at breakfast. So as you can tell, I probably won some of those battles. So anyway, we grew up, and then after school, I started a small construction company that I employed maybe 6-7 people. I was very much a hands-on owner. I was the one selling you the work. I was the one there doing the work. I was the one servicing the work if there was any issues. So from there, before 2008 crash, roughly, I decided to move into the corporate world, and then went to work for DirecTV as a service manager to handle all the problems. So when there was problems, they called me. And then from there, I kind of went into the lighting world, the tech world. I've always been interested in cars and technology, so I got into the technology world, and I've been there ever since. Moved down here in 2012, met my wife on the island. Like I said, we just got married in June of last year, so we've been involved in community events and things of that nature since we met. And we met in 2013, so.
So what other local government agencies and committees have you been involved in?
The first one I was involved in was Chamber of Commerce. I was a ambassador for them. And then I went on the Bay Oaks committee. I was there for 2 years, and now I'm on the LPA.
And how long have you been on the LPA?
Since October.
Okay, October. And why did you decide you wanted to run for town council?
I wanted to run for town council because I've always been involved in community. Community's always been a thing, whether it's been teaching Little League baseball or coaching the football teams or Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Any of that I've been involved with. So when I moved down here, I wanted to, one, it's a good way to meet people, to introduce yourself. I'm still pretty young. I'm able-bodied. I think there's things that I can do to help that some people can't maybe help do. So I wanted to get involved. And then I went, I took it to the next step and went to Bay Oaks. That was a great experience. I was on there for 2 years. And then I thought my construction background and my insight into codes and ordinances and stuff would benefit me being on the LPA.
Okay, so to the specific issues, the town spent $65,000-ish on a company to talk about rebranding or branding or doing something about branding, because apparently people are confused that Fort Myers Beach isn't Fort Myers. And so what is your entire opinion on that? Was it worth the money? Do you need to rebrand Fort Myers Beach?
Well, I think the $65,000 could have been spent elsewhere. Maybe some crosswalks that could have illumination at them like we have on the south end. I think those would be great on the north end. I think Fort Myers Beach is already naturally rebranding itself with what they're going to be doing in Times Square, Bayfront Park, Margaritaville, things like that. They're already rebranding themselves. And I think you need to look at what's the purpose of rebranding? Why are we doing it? What is the driving force? Is it to bring more people? Is it to increase revenue? Is it to increase retail? I mean, what is it? What is the purpose? And so far, I haven't really got the grasp of what our purpose of rebranding is. I think through what we're doing at the base of the bridge and things like that, we're already naturally rebranding ourselves.
So they had a meeting at Bay Oaks. We'll get to Bay Oaks in a minute, but they held the meeting at Bay Oaks with this rebranding company, RMA, and there was complaints from the council that you couldn't hear them, the sound was bad, and there was only really 10 people there. So how do you get the community involved in this rebranding thing when you hold a meeting in the middle of the day?
Well, that's the start of it, is the middle of the day. A lot of people still have jobs. A lot of people still work. They can't necessarily take time off to be there in the middle of the day to do their input. And some people just don't like to talk in front of people. We have issues with people not coming in front of town council to state their cases. So it's difficult for people to get out, one, in the middle of the day, and two, I don't think there's really a lot of support behind the rebranding from the people that I've talked to.
Okay, so the public information officer that the town is now, I think they're still interviewing people. Roger's still interviewing people, whoever does that. Does the town need a PIO? Is that a good use of taxpayer dollars?
I think it's important. I think.
Is that a yes or a no, though?
I think yes. It has my support. I think that they do need it because a lot of people, I don't know if you've ever tried to search for things on the town's website. It's extremely difficult. There's a search bar there, but it doesn't necessarily always take you to where you want to go.
The website, okay, go ahead.
So I think that person could definitely push through social media websites, through the technology that's available to us, out to people and get the information that the people are searching for. And then they also have a contact person that they can reach out to. It doesn't have to be Roger or Jason Green or anybody else on the staff. They have a person that they can directly go to get answers to what they want.
Okay, so let's talk about the lights, the lighting issue on Estero Boulevard. What's the plan that you support?
Well, I'm not a real big fan of all of them. I know we have a big issue between, the 4,000K and this is what I do for a living. I'm in the lighting, so I understand all of it. It seems like it's becoming more of an issue between one side and the other, the turtles versus the safety. and I think it doesn't need to be that way. With the technology that we have, I don't know if a lot of people know, there's something out there called light tuning. So in LED world, it's not very regulated. It's if something dims, 1%, they can say it dims 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So they have what's called a warm dimming. It goes from that bright Kelvin white light down to a warm dim, say 2,700, 3,000 Kelvin. But what there also is, and they've actually done it in bigger municipalities and tried it, and it's working, is tunable light. So during times that you need the brighter light that won't impact the turtles, you can use it. And then in low nights, I'd say 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, whenever, you can dim it down. You can also, and it's all done through technology. It's all
by computers or apps or something?
There's a company out there called Echelon. They rolled out the first part of this in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, actually, in I think 2017. And they did it in a park, and it allows the town manager, whoever is in the control of that situation, to be able to take the light and adjust it. If there's an emergency situation, if the fire department needs to get down the middle lane, they can bring that light up quickly. During turtle season, they can bring it down. I can tell you I'm definitely not a fan of turning lights off. Never, ever should you have to turn a light off to accommodate something.
You're saying there's a light out there that if you start it bright when it's not turtle season, you can easily adjust it?
Absolutely, through technology. They have RF versions, and they also have wired versions.
Has the town ever looked at that?
I don't think that they have. So I think this is a case where to make everyone happy or make everyone understand that there's a solution for both people, we need to rely on the technology that's out there. Very often we hear people say, well, what did this beach do, or what did that beach do? I think sometimes that gets
I know, I hear that so much. It's
when
like,
we should be
it's
looking
crazy.
at bigger municipalities
I
that
feel
aren't
like,
beach.
yeah. So do you plan on have you ever brought that to the council before, that idea?
I have not yet. So I've
Are
been
you trying to you're sandbagging it in case you get elected?
No, not at all. It's
there's nothing wrong with that.
The lighting issue's been going on for over 3 years. It needs to happen. I haven't, since the end of the last election, I have not been quiet about public safety is my number one issue.
Right.
It really is. I think to wait for something to happen tragically to someone is a big mistake.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for 3 years, and you could see it in the council's frustration at their last meeting that it's, use their terms, they've been kicking the can down the road for 3 years, and still nothing's been done about it.
What makes you think that if you're elected that the log jam over there or whatever the problem is, that they can't get the lights resolved, that you could fix that? I mean, what's the problem over there that they can't get the lights up?
Well, again, as I stated before, seems to be a division between what's safe for people and what is acceptable for turtles.
I mean,
there's
nothing
solutions
against
out
the
there.
turtles, but does that make any sense to you?
Well, it does. I mean, we do have a legal obligation to protect the turtles. It's
Okay.
actually in our ordinance. And if you read through I think it's a 133-page report that they sent out, which
Listen,
most people don't
I'm
read.
sorry you got run over by a car, but the turtles are okay. I mean, do you see how silly that sounds?
I don't disagree with you.
I'm not saying kill the turtles to save the humans, but it just doesn't make any sense. It's not a priority for somebody to get the lights fixed.
But the fact that there are solutions out there that we haven't explored yet,
all right,
there are solutions that can take care of both of those solutions. Now, I don't know what the cost is. I haven't looked at it, but I can tell you the cost based on putting the amber lights in was like $7.7 million, 500 some pole.
Right.
I mean, it's been, people have talked about it on your show. It's out there. Everybody
It's a
can read
Lee
about it.
County road, right?
It is, but we pay the electric bill on it.
Okay, so but who would the cost of the installation of the lights be? Is it going to be a shared cost?
Well, going based on the report that they sent out, if it goes to the amber lights, they needed the 558 poles and at a cost like $7.7 million upfront cost to the town. And then it will also increase the $1,800 a month, $1,900 a month payment up to $7,000
For electric?
To
Holy
go
moly.
to the
People are going to
lighting.
go broke on this beach just paying the lighting bill.
So I mean, somewhere in the middle is that financial responsibility, as well as protecting the turtles and the safety of the people.
I get it. And I'm not against the turtles. It's just I'm frustrated that the lights aren't up on Estero Boulevard, and I don't even live on
Well,
the beach.
as I've been driving down Estero Boulevard over the last few months, I've kind of taken a look at how many crosswalks don't have lights on them, or how many bulbs are out. And in that study, it says there's 3 different types of bulbs that are being used. It's not very efficient. So there's a lot of things that we can do quickly, replace the bulbs, at least the ones that are there, to make them work for now.
Okay.
We just need to protect the people.
All right. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, one of the issues that you've been really involved with is Bay Oaks, being
Yes.
on that committee.
Yes.
What is going to happen to Bay Oaks? And I know people hate when I ask this question, but does the beach really need Bay Oaks?
I think it needs a community center, and that's a perfect site for it. Whether you call it Bay Oaks or you call it a community center, you can call it whatever you want. But with the new fire department going up next door, hopefully, that's going to create, and then the town hall right next door, it's going to create a really, really unique area that everyone on the island can compile and have fun. You know, there's some issues over who owns what land, and is there land uses and stuff like that. So when we had our joint meeting with the town council, I just put together essentially just a rough drawing of what the property that's being used right now, not necessarily who owns what, but what's being used and the size of it. It's like 12.8 acres, somewhere in there. And then I just took and designed the same exact size softball field, baseball field, building that's there, and just reorganized it a little bit, not touching the pool, leaving the pool exactly the way it was, and not touching the new entrance that's going in there, and just kind of reconfigured it. You could add an amphitheater, you can add a fitness track, and you can add over 135, 140 parking spaces that people can gather. I mean, think about the things in October when we have the Songwriters Fest or the Film Festival, to have a place that everybody could gather, whether you're a grandparent, a grandchild, a parent.
Right.
You can get there and have fun. It's very inclusive. Everybody gets to enjoy it. It's not just for this person.
I
or
think
that
of
person.
amphitheater, wherever you put it, is a great idea.
Well, you know, when we got married, we got married down in Marathon. And when we would go down to check out places to take people and do things like that, every time we drove by the amphitheater, there was somebody out there playing music,
because there's so
even
much you
though
can
he's
do
by
with one.
himself.
Right.
So think of how neat it would be if you're going by and you could hear someone playing, a local musician
Sure.
playing.
Yeah.
You're going to stop, maybe go grab your lawn chair, and you're going to go check it out.
So what's going to happen over there? What if you were elected to the town council, what would you be pushing?
I would push to make it feasible for everyone, not just right now. In my opinion, it's and that of Borcab, it's just a
I don't
gym.
even know what you said. Make it feasible. What does that mean?
Feasible for everybody to use. To make it.
Yeah, but isn't the building old and
It is.
it needs
It is,
tons
you
of
know.
work, and it's going to cost a lot of money?
It is going to cost a lot.
How much money would it cost to make it feasible?
That I don't know. Do they tear it all down and reconfigure it? Right now, the big complaint is nobody knows it's there.
Well,
Nobody knows how to get to the
What's
building
the percentage
itself.
of the residents that use it?
Last year there was just over 44,000 people that used it. How many residents versus tourists? I don't know that.
Well,
number,
if
but
I come through the front door 5 days a week, you counting me 5 times?
probably.
Okay, so not
Probably.
44,000 people.
Well,
It
those are
got
the numbers.
used
You asked for the numbers.
44,000 times.
And of
What's-
that, there was I think 26,000 were for the rec center, and the other 18,000 were for the pool. The
Okay.
pool generates a lot of money in the
I'm
summer
sure.
through youth programs. So, we definitely need it. The town has, through our town manager has said to us that the town doesn't want it back, so it's ours. What are we going to do with it? We might as well make it something. And we have, like I said before, a great opportunity to make the heart of the island, which if you go to the comp plan, that's what they're calling that, a great true heart of the island.
Yeah. All right, so let's rifle through some of the other issues. I mean, there was the jabroni was supposed to be on the show at 8:30. This guy wants to file a class action lawsuit against the town because of the code enforcement issues, and Jim Adderholt last week said that he saw a lot of people upset about it. What's your take on code enforcement?
Well, I can tell you that the perception out there is that it's very heavy-handed. A lot of people that I talk to, that's one of their big main concerns. I think we can do a better job of warning. I think we can do a better job of streamlining. In one of the recent LPA meetings, I talked about if someone wants to come in and have a party, because a lot of people you've heard complain about, if I want to have a party, we get in trouble for parking here or parking there. We all know parking is an issue on the island. If we could have something that if I want to have 30 people at my house, I can come into the town and the town can hand me something that says, watch out for this. Don't do this or you will be ticketed. Or if you do something, we had a case that came in front of us where a lady purchased a home with 2 structures on it that she thought was completely good.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out it wasn't. And she, under her own will, tore one down and then had to go through the painstaking process of coming through the LPA and town council to get what she thought was legit because she was misled. And the way it was presented to her was, well, you have 5 years and then after that you got to tear it down. I don't think that's fair. I think that she purchased something, it's not harming anyone. If it gets taken down during a natural disaster or something, that's a totally different story. Then you build it back. But I think we need to do a better job. And the town, the town staff, give them kudos. They've been really working hard over the last couple of years to simplify the ordinances, because sometimes, I don't know if you've read through a lot of them, but when you read the ordinances, one ordinance may trigger another ordinance that may trigger another one. So there's a lot of going back. It's a lot of information to process. So they've been doing a great job of streamlining and trying to make it easier for people like us to understand.
How do you get a sense of community when so many people feel like they're living in a glorified HOA where it seems like people just want to find them for everything?
Well, and that's what people feel. And I mean, if perception is reality, that's what we're dealing with. And people are feeling that strain. I've heard stories from people, and obviously there's two sides to every story.
Sure. Some people deserve to be fined. There's no doubt about it.
And there's always people that are going to push the envelope. They're not going to follow the rules no matter what the rules are. I mean, we have ordinances, they should be enforced, but I think that there's a better way of doing it. You can warn or say, don't do this again. If they don't listen and if they don't follow, then you start the fines. To start it at 500, maybe you work at a 250 and you work your way up. If you don't correct it by this much time, you get a bigger fine. Maybe you do a step-up process versus just, bam, here you go.
So what was the other thing? Did you have any questions there that you want to ask? I know
I don't think I've ever seen you lost for words.
I start looking at the comments because people are commenting on the lights a lot. People are putting,
I see hi, honey.
Yeah,
my daughter's watching back in Minnesota. Love you, honey.
Yeah, people are talking about the comments a lot in the comment box. And what I wanted to ask you was, if you were on the council now, it came back to me, dear. Thank you for trying to save me. Would you vote for the dune walkover? Yes or no?
Based on the information that was provided to us on the LPA, I would. I was asked that question the other day. Now, they were granted a rehearing. They have more information they're going to bring out. Let's see what happens. I can't tell you I would change my vote one way or another based on what they're going to present. But the LPA found it 7-0 that they were within their right. I think it's very difficult sometimes for council or LPA or any other committee. When you have to make a decision, it's very tough to take your emotions out of it. You have to leave your emotions out of it when you make a decision and go by the facts. And 7-0, the LPA felt that they were within their right based on all the information they presented to us, that they had the right to do it.
Okay, so she keeps telling me to let that go. I don't know why I'm fascinated by that story.
Well, it's a big issue.
It's just because I can't figure out what's right or, my opinion on that. And not that it matters what my opinion is. It's just a fascinating story in that it happened because of the weather, yet he lost it. Never mind. I don't want to get into it again.
Well, you have to look at where it's at, too. The environmental closure, the EC zone. If it was, this dune was going to be through the middle of that, this wouldn't even be a conversation we're having.
Right. She's going to ask a couple quick questions, and then I have a few.
Now you're going to really put me on the spot. All right, everybody, we're doing the shuffle here. So on that, and I just told him to let it go.
Yeah,
but just,
I see that, yeah. I see the big notes behind me over here.
When the LPA approved it, it was, so the LPA is approving it based on if it meets code or doesn't go against code. Is that what their approval is in type?
Yeah, it's based on, does it conflict with any of the codes that are in the LDC? Okay. And, we found 7-0 that they were within their right to do what they were. Now the council voted it down, which is their right to do it. So, and now they went back and asked for a rehearing, and they're going to have the rehearing, and they're going to present some more evidence. So let's see what that evidence is, one way or another, and then we can make a decision from there.
Because I know that just listening to the whole iteration of it is that it's gone through a couple of different changes, like they, for them to get approval from the DEP and other places, that they've adjusted their model of it.
Sure, the height, the width, everything. When they had their conversations with us on the LPA, some of the requirements that we put back on them were to change the size, bring it in a little bit, and they were more than willing to do that. So they compromised what they really wanted down to what we felt was acceptable, and that was part of the reason we voted it through.
All right, and now on the lights. So, Fort Myers Beach is not the only place, I'm sure, where this issue has come up. Has any entity looked at other beach towns to see what they've done for lighting, different ideas, so they don't have to recreate it from scratch?
Sure. I think that they have. I mean, my understanding is that when they did the lighting study, that their direction was to give us what the best lighting was for pedestrians. It didn't necessarily take into the turtles. I think everybody agrees that the study wasn't necessarily 100% what everybody was looking for. So they're going back in, and we're waiting for the results of that. But as I said earlier, I think with technology, there's a lot of different things that we can do out there based on cost, obviously. What is it going to cost to do it? But we have an opportunity to be the trendsetter. You know, I always use the analogy when I'm talking to someone in football. People are always, it's a copycat league. If someone does something, the other people start to copy it. Why or shouldn't we be the one that people say, let's do what Fort Myers Beach did. Let's set the trend. Let's think forward. Let's think what we're going to have in the future that will be sustainable, that we can adjust, that if you just have to change a bulb, you still have the technology there to be able to adjust the temperature of the light. You won't be able to adjust the lumens of the light, but you'll be able to adjust the temperature and it ranges anywhere from 2,700 up to 5,500 Kelvin. So in times that you need that bright white light, maybe out of turtle season, like now you can bring it up a little bit to make it safe for pedestrians. During turtle seasons at night, you can bring it down. So there are other
You're not
options
talking about amber lights, though. You're talking about adjusting a white light brighter or less.
So essentially it takes a bright white LED Kelvin, say 4,000, 5,000, 5,500 Kelvin, and it brings it down to that 2,700 to 3,000 range, which is softer, easier on your eyes. It doesn't give you that sleep deprivation that everybody talks so much about. So there are ways to do it. And then again, if you have at a crosswalk, if you have an issue where, God forbid, there's an accident, with a quick push of a button, you can get the lights in that area to a brighter area to help EMTs get to what they need to do and help.
What's your position on e-bikes?
I'm glad you brought that up. My position on e-bikes, I am for pedal assist. So there's like 3 different types of e-bikes. There's fully motorized, then there's partial motorized, and then there's pedal assist. So you only get power when you're pedaling. And I've talked to a lot of people, especially on the south end of the island, that they can't get to the north end of the island with the Estero Boulevard the way that it is. And now that we have the bike lanes, there's going to be, when it's finally done, they're going to be able to come to the north end, which a lot of them have told me that that's what they'd like to do, to visit some of the restaurants up here, check out the new things that are coming. But they don't feel safe on the old Estero doing it. But they physically no longer can get from one end to the other. They want to ride their bike. They want to stay active. But if it's windy, you've ridden bikes on this. When it's windy and that wind's blowing in your face, even if you're in good health, it's very difficult to ride your bike down it. I think if they're allowed to use pedal assist when they're pedaling, it gives them a little bit more power. It's not a full turn your handle like a motorbike.
Right.
It gives you the pedal assist that you need to be able to get to where you want to go without hurting somebody. Sorry.
Okay. So the other questions.
Go ahead. No.
I thought you got back on the lights. I already covered that. But
Well,
thank you.
I
You
had
wanted to
one
go back and
question about
revisit it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dan, if you weren't running for election and you had to vote, who would you vote for? Who were the 3 people you would vote for?
Well, I am running, and I have been running for a while, so I would definitely vote for myself. The rest of the people that are involved, they all have unique backgrounds. They all have something that they can bring to the table, and I feel I can work with anyone. Over the past 5-6 years, I think I've proven that I've been involved in the community enough, and I can work with anybody. So I couldn't tell you who I would vote for because I'm voting for myself.
Well, you're going to vote, so you're going to have to vote for 2 other people. You just don't want to say.
Sure.
Right.
What he's saying is he's not going to tell
Right.
you.
He's not going to tell us, which is that's fair.
I'm voting for myself.
Prerogative.
I know. Can you vote for yourself 3 times? Well, actually, you can vote for yourself once, and you don't have to vote for anyone else, right? That's the way residents can vote down here.
Sure, they could. Sure, if they choose to, but that's not what I'm going to do.
What do you think the chances are that Barant gets elected?
I don't know. I've never met the man. I don't know. I've only seen a couple articles that he's posted in the paper. Other than that, I've never had.
What
a
were
chance
the
to
articles about?
Just about one of the Island Sandpaper. He put a thing in there about some of their reporting. So that's other than that. That's the only.
Gotcha.
That's the only communication I've had with him.
Town manager doing a good job? Yes or no?
I think again, as I said before, he's doing exactly what he's been instructed to do. So if the town council feels he's not doing a good job, then it's their job to direct him in the direction that they want to go. He, like everybody else, works for the people of the island. So if he's not managing it the way they want him to manage it, then it needs to be changed.
What do you think's the number one important issue that's facing the beach or facing Fort Myers Beach?
Right now, for me, it's public safety.
Okay.
I've told the story several times, and I'll tell it again because it hits home for me. When we were in a forum last year, someone brought up a question. She was a little girl from Bay Oaks. She came out, and she was scared because people were in the bushes. Because they had the dock back there that they come in. So she was very scared. And I can't stress it's like a light switch went off in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter. I don't think anyone should feel unsafe on this island. Just on the drive down here, there was a gentleman in a wheelchair sitting in the middle of the sidewalk passed out with a drink sitting in the middle of the sidewalk. Is that something that we want if we're going through the branding that we want people to see when they come on the island? I don't think it is.
Where do you think the water issues fit into that hierarchy of importance?
Well, it's definitely, as I said last year, it's a 1A, 1B for me. I'm a master captain, so water's a big thing for me. We live on the water. We never have to stop worrying about the water. We have to continue to do what we're doing, working with people like Kevin Ruane, who's doing a great job being a voice. He's kind of that voice for the Barrier Island that's going forward, and quite frankly, all of Florida. So anything we can do to assist him to get that message out. He's already got the contacts in there to talk to people. And then anything we can do locally. We talked about the fertilizer. We talked about things like that. If you can just be cognizant of what you're doing in your own backyard, you see something in the water. We constantly will see boats go by and things will fly out of the water. You turn around, you go and you pick it up. You try to keep the environment clean. You try to do the best you can to be good stewards of your own island. That way, when you go forward, you can help assist and say, this is what we've been doing. What maybe it'll work for you, or what have you been doing? Will it work for us?
We have a couple. Go ahead, dear.
No, go ahead.
If you have another question.
Well, I don't want to get off on the glyphosate issue.
Oh yeah, we'll save that for another day.
All right.
That's Dan. We're going to give away some tickets to the Kylie and Jay show, and I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, by the way, one last question that I want you to tell everybody why they should vote for you. I don't want to forget this one. Are you in favor of moving to 3 or 4 years and moving the election to November? Not that any of the residents that are voting really know about that, because there's been no way to find out about it. But what do you think?
Well, if you base things on the past, it's been brought up before and it's been voted down before. I really am not partial either way, to be honest with you. Whatever they choose, if I get elected, I'll be happy to serve 3 or 4 years. I can see both sides. I can see how it saves the town money. I can also see, as someone that has been out campaigning, it's a lot of work. And if you move it to November, then you also are campaigning in the middle of summer when no one's here. So I could see both sides. And as I said, it's not a big issue for me. I'll do whatever the people vote. And it's going the right way. It's in the hands of the voters. They get to choose which way.
In 60 seconds, tell everybody why they should vote for you.
Well, I think you should vote for me because I've proven through my wife and I's action that we're very community involved. We try to do everything we can to be good stewards. We're always the first one out there to help. I think I bring some new forward-thinking ideas that we can bring into the future. As I said before, I'm very much into old things that are new. Like, I'm a car guy, so restaurants are my thing. Where you take an old car and make it look new again. I think you can make old houses look new again. So I'm really into that kind of stuff. I just think I can bring a fresh perspective, some new ideas to mix with the council that's already in place, that have been here for a while. And between the differences of people or the different backgrounds of people, I think we can really get a good gel of things that will really benefit our island.
And how do people get in touch with you, find out where you are, donate to you if they want to, all of that?
The easiest way is if you go to your little Google search bar and either type @Dan4Our Beach or Dan for Our Beach, the first thing that will pop up will be my Facebook page. It has all my contact information, how you can donate. You can call me on my cell phone if you want. You can email me. Any way you need to get a hold of me, if you just type in your Google search bar, Dan for Our Beach, you'll find me.
Great job today, Dan. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Dan Allers, everybody, running for the Fort Myers Beach Town Council. And we always appreciate Dan and Megan coming down and bringing their great
puppies.
labs.
I know.
They're
I
not
gave
really
them
puppies
stickers.
anymore.
Well, they're always puppies. I gave them the dog stickers from Chief Love.
Great job by Dan. Thank you so much to Dan and the Chief. But before we go, we have lots of stuff to cover for 5 minutes that we have left. And the first thing we're going to do before we talk about really the ordinance that took me forever to find is we want to give away a pair of these kind of like general admission tickets. What's going to happen is every Saturday we're going to give away a pair of these tickets to Kylie Morgan and Jay Allen, thanks to the folks at Chuckers. And the last weekend, they want to give away like a VIP set of tickets. So anyway, today we're going to give away a pair of tickets to see Kylie and Jay at Chuckers. February 29th is when they're playing. And by the way, both of them have been signed by a major record label. And this coming February, we're going to go to Nashville, and Kylie's going to be playing.
We're actually in February, but yeah.
Yeah, that's right. This coming February this year, we're going to go to Nashville and see Kylie play with Keith Urban. And, I mean, it's just a long roster of great artists. She's going to be at the Ryman, which is an awesome facility. And we're going to be on the fourth row yelling, Fort Myers Beach, just
No,
to
we're
try and
not.
throw her off
No,
her
we're
game.
No, we're not.
All right, now somebody's calling, but they don't even know what the question is. Bill, stop
They're ready.
cheating, Bill. That's
They're ready.
cheating. I have to hang up on you now.
Oh.
I have to hang up on him. He doesn't know the question. All right, here's the question. Where, Bill, cut it out. Where is Kylie Morgan from? You have to name the city and you have to name the state. Where is Kylie Morgan from? If you can figure that out, then you're going to win a pair of tickets to see Kylie and Jay at Shuckers. And Kim is going to tell you a little bit more about Shuckers. I read all the ads. Let's see you read a little bit about Shuckers.
All right. Oh, thanks. So turn me off.
As soon as she starts reading it. Giving
Shuckers
people
at
a chance to Google where she's from.
All right. Are you going to stop now?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Shuckers at the Gulf Shore, the Cottage Bar, and the Cottage Beach Bar.
It's
is
ad-lib. You have
beachfront-
to ad-lib. Don't read
It's
the whole
beach-
thing. Ad-lib it.
Located just a few blocks down from the pier, just a few blocks down from Times Square. It's world
Oh, wait
famous.
a second. I didn't give out the number. If you know the answer, the number is 239-247-3833. 239-247-3833. Where is Kylie Morgan from, the city and the state? And now back to the studio.
It's really amateur day for you today.
It
What
is,
is
it
going
is.
on? So anyways, we've been to Shuckers. I can tell you that they have
ad-libbing.
amazing food, and I would highly recommend those coconut pancakes.
Pancakes.
I know I talk about them all the time. All their food is good. They have wonderful appetizers. The view is beautiful during the day, especially though in the evening as the sun sets. They have great servers. They have a vast variety of libations to choose
You're
from.
going way off the script now.
All right. Well,
Because they also want to mention the Super Bowl on the bottom. Got to make sure the Super Bowl is tomorrow. Kansas City and San Francisco. And
big screen, 82-inch TV.
82-inch. Wow, that's big.
That is big.
I don't think I've ever seen an 82. Is it 82 inches or
I-
82
well, that's
TVs?
what yours
All right,
says.
stand by.
No. 17 additional flat screen TVs.
All right, stand by. We have a
Okay.
caller. Hello, you're on the air. You're on Beach Talk Radio from Peach Timeout. How can I help you? Hello?
You with the
Hello? Hello?
you-
I got all the buttons up now.
You
Why
gotta
doesn't
put
it
it
work?
on.
Okay,
It's
hold
not
on now. Hold on.
Oh Lord.
Did I hang up? Are you there, sir?
Or ma'am.
Yes, I am.
Hello, where are you calling from?
Ed, calling from Fort Myers Beach.
Fort Myers Beach. Excellent. And how are you today?
Doing well.
All right.
Karen. It's Karen.
Karen? Oh, we know Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Sure you
Karen. Are you ready?
How's Cookie? How's Cookie
She's
the Bulldog?
good.
Cookie is
Cookie
doing
the
good. That's
Bulldog.
right,
She's
Karen.
got her own web page now, her
That's
own
right.
Facebook page
That's
now.
right.
So
Cookie-
I
she's,
saw that.
Cookie the Badass Bulldog. You didn't really like that name.
I didn't like that name because
All
she's
right.
such a sweet dog.
Karen, where is
Yes.
Kylie Morgan from?
I'm going to go with Newcastle, Oklahoma.
Hey! The crowd goes wild for Kieran.
I can hear it. Sure.
Excellent. All right. Well, you win a pair of tickets to go see Kylie Morgan and Jay Allen live at Shuckers on February 29th. We thank you so much for listening, and we know how to reach you, so I'm going to hang up on you and talk to you soon about getting you your tickets. Thank you so much, Karen. We appreciate that. I have to figure out why I can't get the phone to connect to the machine by the next time we give the tickets away. I want it to be like smooth. You're
Well,
on
I
the
just
air.
think you have to answer it correctly. It's
I
something.
pressed the button.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
it's more than that.
We're running a little over, and we apologize for that. But the chief is so great, and Dan did an awesome job. And next week we have more politics. The one person that has not responded is Robert Brandt, so I'm not going to ask him anymore. I'm not kissing anybody's ass to ask him more than twice. I asked him twice. Everybody else answered on the first time that we asked him, so I'm not asking him anymore. So don't vote for him. He's out. He's off the chart there. And so next weekend at 9:30, I've already forgotten who it is, but for the next 2 weeks we have all the candidates coming up. But the one thing I wanted to mention to you also on the ballot in March, you have the referendum where you're either going to give them the 4 years and you're going to move it to November to vote, or you're not. And one of the things that they said at the last council meeting was we need to get the information out to the residents about this referendum. And I don't feel like they have. I spent 30 minutes today trying to figure out where to find the ordinance on the town's website, where I think it should be one of the first things you see on the town website, that they're changing something from March to November, and from 3 years. To me, going from 3 years to 4 years is a big deal because I don't ever feel like people should be given more time in government.
So you think it should be stay at 3 or go to 2?
No, I think I've already said I think it should stay at. No, I think it should stay at 3, and it should stay the way it is. And part of it now is because nobody has been getting the word out about. I mean, why can't somebody record a video and put it on Facebook? Why can't somebody post it to the Facebook page? Why can't they make it easy for the residents to see it on the town's website?
Maybe that's what the PIO would do.
Of course, I'm glad you brought that up, wife.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because you know what they're going to say? Well, if we had a PIO, we'd be able to get that out.
I don't know.
Well,
you don't know what they would say. I said that's one function that individual.
Every time something comes up like that, that's what happens. Well, if we had a PIO, when we have a PIO, well, this is a major change, and I think you guys should vote it down because it's malarkey that you aren't able to find the ordinance until you click through 5 or 6 times.
Did you find it?
I found it and I printed it out. It's a 6-page ordinance. So it's not something to take lightly. It's a pretty good change. And I think they're just trying, well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I think they're just trying to slide it through when people go into the booth. I don't think they are. And I love this council. I really do. I just think that somebody's done a piss poor job of getting the information out about a major change in what, and voters have to know what's going on with that change from 3 years to 4 years.
And I, again, say that would be, I would believe that would be what a PIO would do.
Of course,
and I
dear.
think that
But they don't have a PIO now.
I know, but it's come up many times about getting information out and about getting correct information out. And
if I can figure out how to do a Facebook video for 60 seconds, or Anita has done some killer videos for her businesses. I mean, they've done they look like they're high quality videos about some of the stuff that she had somebody come in her house playing a guitar, and it was hilarious. I'm not saying she should do it, but somebody should have done it. It's a major change, and they should be explaining what the ordinance is, why they want to change it. Not everybody has the time or the desire to watch a town council meeting at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. They're freaking working.
Unlike you.
Yeah, right. I can't stop. I'm glued to it. Like, did she just say that? Did he just say that? And they were saying.
It's like a reality show for you.
Most
people are like watching other things.
No, Last Council was a reality show. This one is not reality enough. So, I mean, that's all I wanted to say about the ordinance thing. Tonight, we're going to be in Sunrise at Zach Brown's concert. The night before we got a call from Intercom, and they offered up a couple of free passes for us to see.
Which was very nice. But I will say, this is your deal, not mine.
Carly Pierce is going to open up for Zach Brown, so we're going to go see them. And, all right, this is it. The last question of the day.
All right, let's get this
Who's going to win the game?
I think the Chiefs are going to win.
Why is that? Why do you pick the Chiefs?
Because I think they're on a roll. I think they have a really good offense, and I think that they pull it out in the clutch. Like, they get down, but they come back.
You saw one game with the Chiefs this year, didn't you?
That was my analysis.
Don't you want them to win because you like the color of their uniforms?
No. That's, what is that? The Seahawks. They have the best.
Oh, yeah, they do have the best uniform. Yeah. All right, everybody. We will be back next Saturday with more fun and excitement and maybe a Friday night interview. I love doing those things on the StreamYard. And until then, thank you all for watching. And if you want to send a check to us, feel free. I'm just kidding.
Well, you haven't done that in a while.
I'm not begging for money anymore. I mean, we just love doing this for free and for the love of the people out there, all of our viewers and listeners.
You didn't say.
And thank you. Chief had a big audience today because he came with gifts.
Yeah, he did.
Thank you all.
I took one of them.
And we will see you soon. So sorry to go. Bye-bye.